and service. And sometimes there's little technical glitches and difficulties. That is okay. Video secure. Okay, well, great. My video. Okay, press the buttons. You do the button that does the thing. Okay, stream URL. Q. There we go. Edit. Stream key. I'm learning things in real time. Okay. And do this. There we go. Save. Yay! I think that makes it work. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yes. I believe that we might be live on for the first time ever, and it's trying to go to Instagram. So awesome. Okay. We'll get there if it gets there, and if it doesn't, it wasn't meant to be, and that's okay for now. For those of you just joining, welcome. My name is Julie Christine, and I am with the Academy of Logic and Light. And if you don't know, check out the link in our bios. And I'm here today with Priscilla, the Atlantean Priestess from Temples of Atlantis. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you so much for entertaining the discussion, because there's always a lot to talk about through our spiritual journeys. And I'll just start with a brief introduction. Atlantean Priestess, that title's been with me my whole time on this realm. And we'll get deeper into different timelines and stuff. But waking up to being a priestess again is about a path of devotion. And it includes a lot of things. It means the pursuit of knowledge and truth for myself. It also means being very dedicated to being the mother and the wife that I am, and being fully present in my life. So as we get further into Starseed talk, it's really important that we anchor into our earth rule just as much as we acknowledge maybe like our more galactic or our spiritual path. But my path started through Reiki. Eventually I woke up into Atlantis. And once that comet hit my consciousness, I could say that I just felt like I knew my purpose in an instant. It was very, very, very clear. After being a dance teacher for 20 years, I transitioned into being a Reiki master teacher. And now since my awakening with Atlantis, I was initially shocked at how many things tie to Atlantis, but this is how I began to teach about starseeds and star nations. And then my work has just expanded a lot. Of course, the main goal is, can I help others remember their ancient being and their ancient light within? Because that's our direct connection to Creator. Once you understand you have everything you could possibly need, desire, want, long for within you, and you learn how to access it, then your life becomes the one that you've been watching other people live, more magical, more free, more peaceful, more grounded, more loving, more compassionate, more forgiving. And that is what really opens you up into true abundance. So I'm not a master in everything, but I do feel like I am one of the great master teachers for Atlantean themes on our realm today. And so I'm just honored to share whatever parts of my consciousness, my soul want to be brought forward. And I guess my main message would be like, however you're feeling, you're not alone. It's when you're going through your spiritual awakening, there's a lot of moments of isolation, and there's a lot of community and expansion that you find. And then you kind of contract from certain communities, and then you find another community, and you get to know your tribe over and over again. So to all my fellow priestesses and priests, your everyday work is already creating the path. And now we just get to continue to journey together. So thank you, Julie, for having me. Honored to be here, and can't wait to see what comes forward today.
Me too. And thank you for such a good grounding opening.
Thank you.
Excuse me. Part of how we've started building the things with the academy is trying to start with the root chakra and starting getting grounded, like you said, and making sure that we are living in this present reality, and this is how we take care of ourselves. And so we've started things with the root chakra of like talking about boundaries, safety, security, and things of that nature. And we've worked our way up. So now, as we're kind of getting, we just finished the heart chakra this week. We've been inviting conversations of things that are outside of our normal scope of reality, and inviting curious conversations. So whether this resonates with you, awesome. And if not, that's okay. No problem. There's plenty. There's 410 pages on the Academy website so far and growing. Lots of threads. So we recently started talking with Marie Major about the Stargates, and we've done a couple of episodes. Started talking about Lemuria and Atlantis, but we haven't gone too much beyond that. So if you were to come to the next step, what would be your introduction?
Well, the beautiful thing, and I understand Lemuria, but I lived through Atlantis, so I'm most likely going to go from an Atlantean perspective. If we understand in the golden era of Atlantis, there is no gatekeeping, there's no boundaries, there's nothing keeping us away from our galactic community. Then Atlantis becomes a hub. Let's say about 35,000 to 50,000 years ago in its golden era. Atlantis is this mecca of culture, ideas, knowledge, healing, love, unity. And so their work with the Arcturians, with the Pleiadians, with the Andromedans, with the Sirians, and much more, the Alpha Centaurians, it's like this integration and this exchange. And so it's like, okay, this is what we as a people have because of Gaia, because of our beautiful Earth. This is what we have, access to, and her healing powers, and her elemental beings, and these oceans, and this mountain. What do you guys have that we can learn from? And so it becomes this incredible exchange. And one of the reasons my company or my mystery school is called Temples of Atlantis is because each of those star nations, to me, had wonderful temples throughout Earth. And so you might have the Temple of Love held by the Pleiadians. You might have a temple of voice held by the Hathors, a temple of logic held by the Arcturians. But these are places where you can grow and learn, and the Atlantean priests and priestesses are there as your guides or your liaisons into these other energies. So something that I love teaching my students and anybody who's open is that Atlantis and Lemuria are not of Earth. They are frequencies that have come to Earth. So to me, Lemuria is a fourth density frequency of love, and this is where we're coming back to in our current reality, right? We're ascending from the third, we're opening up into the fourth, which means everyone's heart chakra is just like it's just cracking open. And the way that it's cracking open is through a lot of suffering, and through realizing that no human, no animal on this earth should go through the things that they're going through, and in the disregard for humanity and and sanctity. So there's this Lemurian era comes in, and the Lemurians too, to me, are originally not of Earth. That frequency also travels the galaxy. And when a realm such as ours is ready for the higher dimension of the fourth, the Lemurian era comes in, and that Lemurian era is really going to connect you deeply back to whatever your realm is. Of course, ours is Earth. And it's going to help you understand the voices of the trees and the whispers of the wind and the power of the elements. And then, throughout the evolution of a people and its realm, eventually the Atlantean current will come in. The Atlantean current is that of the fifth density, which represents unity. And so when the Lemurians were here on Earth, they started opening up this like vortex of love. And so the Pleiadians are like, hey, like, look, finally the humans are ready. The humans are ready to embrace love and peace over war. Now it's time we can come and teach them. And so you have them, you have the Andromedans, you have different types of beings. I would say also probably Beta Centaurians would be very important, the Polarians. There'd be a lot that would make Lemuria on Earth what it was. And then from there, as we come into the fifth density with Atlantis, now the gates are even more open. And now the Andromedans and the Orions and the Lyrans are like, yes, okay, humans are ready again. And so it's like this continual expansion. And that's why I think that your soul will always awaken on this planet to one of those frequencies, if not both, Lemuria and Atlantis. It will be the way you ground into your existence by knowing where your ancestry is on the planet. But then it also begins to spark open the multidimensional aspect of you in understanding that you are not just one. Okay. So when we start going through that kind of starseed culture, people will get really attached to one thing. I am Syrian. I am all the way Syrian. And you can have significant lifetimes in Sirius, absolutely, that have put the stamp on you and have like really helped you embrace those characteristics. But there is no way that you will ever just be one thing. You are the all, right? We are the many and the all. And as you go through all the different timelines, if you understand that we're living all timelines simultaneously, present, past, and future, then there's a version of you that lives in Lyra, and a version of you that lives in Egypt 5,000 years ago, and a version of you that's living in Arcturus 2 million years from now. And so all of that, once you start to understand that this soul, right, this spirit holds all of it, that's when your universe truly opens up.
That's beautiful. That's really beautiful. Mhm.
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, so then I think the next question that people ask a lot, at least in my world, is the conflict between Atlantis and Lemuria, and there's a lot of
Mhm.
stories around that.
There's I will say it's unfortunate that the Lemurians at this time have the louder voice because not often, okay, so but periodically I get a lot of hate on my page from Lemurians, unhealed Lemurians that say you have no business teaching about Atlantis. Atlantis is toxic, it's disgusting, you disgust me. There's all these things. I'll be like, whoa, man, this person is caught in trauma. If we go before the fall of Atlantis, okay, well before the fall, the Lemurians are our sisters, our elders, our ancestors, our teachers. In one of my lifetimes, I married a Lemurian man who happens to be my husband in this lifetime, who is very Lemurian, whether he cares, admits it or not. This man is very, very Lemurian. Therefore, my children at that time and in this lifetime are both Lemurian and Atlantean. So it wasn't that there was this war the whole time. But what ended up happening was as Lemuria was starting to decline, not fall, because Lemuria's transformation was different than Atlantis, but it was starting to already go through transformation. And then the Atlantean fall happened. And we didn't understand about Atlantis. This is not one night. This is not 1,000 years. This is a decline from the golden age. If you're going to, the golden age is a very, 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 very top, right? To get to the very, very bottom to where it fell is a massive cycle. But you're going to go through like a silver age and a bronze age and an iron age. But eventually you're going to get so low that nothing can survive. Now, if we were to view our world as it is today, okay, let's just say someone comes in and they see the mass suffering that animals, children, in particular women, are going through on this planet. And they judged us based on that. They judged our entire history based on this stamp of time. We will not be viewed very well. And so this is what's happened with the Atlantean fall is that a lot of Lemurians who experienced it, who were betrayed by it, have written off in their memory all of it's toxic. And that's a great disservice. And a lot of starseeds will do the same thing with their trauma from the Orion Wars or from the Lyran Wars. When you have that trauma stamped on you and you refuse to heal it, when you refuse to see the bigger picture and even how you're a part of the bigger picture, now you're stuck. And now there's going to have that. You're always going to push away. Like people think sometimes Atlantis is written off as cold and scientific, and it's like all in the mental. But my perspective is that Lemuria is a master at the heart and down. Okay, so you go all the way down. You can go past the root chakra into the Earth Star chakra. That was what the Lemurian frequency will teach you. Once you get to the heart and up, and the upper six chakras, now we're talking about that's all Atlantean. So it's not just about the mental aspect, it's about how close can we get to creator? How much can we support, like honor creator in the most opulent, beautiful, incredibly awe-inspiring way. And that's where the Atlanteans can get caught up in themselves, because they so desperately want to show what is possible. And so they actually become very vulnerable, right? So if you look at this as a galactic stage, okay? So Earth is looking really good, right? Atlantis is thriving. Lemuria is thriving. People are love, unity. People are singing kumbaya everywhere they go. It's incredible. And then a malevolent force views Earth and says, well, that's a nice realm right there. It's got a lot of rich natural resources. It's got all these people populated. These people are really looking and opening for something greater. Let's sell them the lie. And all it takes is really one person to create that ripple of selfishness, of like, oh, they say that if I follow them, if I sell them this, I will know more than everyone else. I always wanted to know more. I'm so anxious to know more. And my magi or my priestess says I can't learn more until I'm ready. It's going to take me another 10,000 years, but I don't have to. I can take this magic pill and I will know more than everyone else. And then it becomes this very, very slippery slope. So everything is destined. I think everybody that was a part of Atlantis and Lemuria at that time, we all signed up for it. We all knew that as high as you can ascend, the fall's going to be even that much more dramatic. And when we're here right now and we're coming back up from the fall, slowly but surely, we're clawing our way back up. Now it's like, can we remember who we were and what we did and what we can choose now? Because a lot of people, not just Atlanteans, Lemurians too, man, a lot of people chose to experience something other than light, right? Other than balance, other than peace. Well, I've been peaceful for like 30,000 years on this planet. I'm a little bit bored
Yeah.
of it. What else is out there, you know? So I try to calm the waters, but I know instantly almost I know if someone is healed from Atlantean trauma or not, whether they're an Atlantean or Lemurian. But I do have a lot of Lemurians in my field that push back heavily.
That's wild. That's so wild. It's weird that like the commonalities of how people love to like gather in like hating something and be like, well, this is the reason. Well, there's so many other things that could be true.
It's true. Yeah.
As within, so without, usually.
Right.
Yeah. Oh wow, how interesting. So yeah, some of your work I've gone through it and it's just like helped me have like memories of things and like of different places. And yeah, it's just helped me kind of have a remembering. The colors help a lot too. And the animals.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm trying to figure out where the next phase of this journey goes. So then going into from the separation and the kind of conflict of where Atlantis and Lemuria, and obviously the very long progression of to where we are today. And that's pretty much exactly how I can remember how it's, yeah, like spot on. And then now we're here. So I guess everybody's like, well, now we came here for a reason, and people are starting to, one, awaken. That's one thing. And then two, remember. That's another thing. And not everyone who is awakened is meant to remember. And maybe, I don't know how it's all going to work out. But for the most part, it seems to be a couple different categories. And we're putting together some literature for those in their awakening phase, but also for those in their remembering phase. And again, like you said, it's so important to not attach to any one story or anything. Kind of when I personally have done my like meditation and journeying, I try not to attach to any outcome until it's like, okay, well, something's clearly here, and just exploring down in curiosity and not saying, well, I must be this. And when you really will go all the way up into your meditation clouds of consciousness, I think you described it as an ocean, which is really beautiful, and I love to hear more about that too. But we see that we're all just connected, and so to have hate is to be down here where there's still division. If you go deep enough, we're all connected. So to perpetuate any sort of cosmic racism or galactic like hate is to continue to perpetuate trauma, and that means you're the problem. It starts with us.
Mhm.
In this moment, we no longer perpetuate all reptilians are bad, all
Right.
Pleiadians are good. We can't say all Lemurians are loving. we can't say all Atlantean. We can't say anything, but we cannot put people in boxes.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is all.
I'll add that not all Canadians are kind, since that's a nice stereotype about us. But since I live here, I know all the kinds, right?
Yeah.
We all,
Yeah.
again, we're also multifaceted. So why would our soul choose to be like an eternal soul? Why would it ever choose to be one thing forever?
A
Um,
vampire would be bored in their thousands of lives in the one body.
yeah, there's I laugh at myself because I like I say, I teach we're multidimensional. And yet for myself, I'm very Atlantean, Syrian, and Alpha Centaurian. And this is the advantage of knowing what each of the frequencies represent. Because again, it's like knowing another part of you, another ancestral part. And so the way I view the stars, and I don't have by no means a complete understanding, my view has just shifted that I no longer think stars are out there and space is out there. We had talked about it briefly last week. I really have come into embracing that we live in a galactic ocean, but the stars to me represent an imprint of who you've been and a part of you. And so when you look at the Orion constellation, you can see like some people have like the Orion constellation on their body, right? Like at least Orion's belt. It's really interesting to look at the mole structure you have. I have a mole that makes perfect pyramids in more than one spot, and I love pyramids. And I was like, "Oh, that's fascinating." But it's like there's parts of you that are imprinted, like from the dust, from the constellations, and they come into your consciousness, your being, your makeup for this lifetime, and they're there to guide you. So let's say if someone's really drawn to Orion, since we're talking about Orion, your greatest themes are going to be overcoming duality, overcoming conflict, learning where the middle is between love and hate, right? Between cold and hot, between black and white. Like it's a conflict not for you to overcome, but to work with. And so the way I teach about the Orions, I call them the Great Eight because there's eight major stars in the Orion constellation, four female or feminine and four masculine. So it's already built up in this exact beautiful balance. But a lot of people, because of things that they've read in through other channelers, will immediately push the Orions off, as we were talking about with, like you say, with reptilians. Oh, the Orions are bad. Don't talk to the Orions. And that was initially what I felt about them leading up into about 2020 and 2021. And a part of our path is to really tune into our own guidance, our own spirit, our own consciousness, and see what it tells us. And it kept telling me to work with the Orions, and I was like, because of reading the book of one, or the law of one by the book of Ra, um, I pushed them away. But when you get to know these parts of yourself and open up to it, you learn so much more. And so, like, again, like for those, like I feel like I'm very Syrian and Alpha Centaurian. Let me explain it a little bit. So, Sirius in Atlantis, if we understand Lemuria and Atlantis, but I'm just going to talk about Atlantis for now. Atlantis travels the cosmos, okay, travels the galactic ocean. And now, when a realm is ready to come from the fourth to the fifth density, the Atlantean current enters. So, Atlantis comes into Sirius after Sirius has had a wonderful time with Lemuria, right? So it's a Lemurian era, everything's love, everything's perfect. When Atlantis enters Sirius, it never falters. It's not like it is on Earth where it's like, oh, it's so unstable and boom, 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 up, down, up, down. When Atlantis enters Sirius, it's like the most perfect union ever designed by creator. And it's like, whoop, and it's like, what does Syrians love? They love knowledge, right? They love truth. They love expansion. They love like everything, all the variables, right? If we think about the beings from Sirius, what do we have? We have dolphins, we have whales, we have unicorns, we have horses, we have dogs, we have cats, we have lions, we have birds. Like there's so much that comes from there, right? We have humanoids. There's so much that comes from there. So when Atlantis meets it, it creates it's so perfect. So for those of you that might identify, when you have an unsatiable desire for knowledge and you like consume books and courses and Julie's website, you're like next, right? Next page. It's a very Atlantean Syrian trait. And when it's in balance, when the Syrians help you balance it, it's perfect. The Atlanteans came out of balance with it. And like I said, sold out a little bit to get more knowledge, right? The Syrians never did that. They stayed in perfect balance. You have Isis from there. You have Green Tara from there. You have incredible ascended masters from Sirius. Like there's so much there, okay? And Sirius represents the blue sapphire ray, truth, clarity, and sovereignty. Okay, so when you have that encoded in your being, right? I don't even do it on purpose. I wear blue, gold, and white over and over and over again. Okay, like, so we're going to get to it. So we've got blue sapphire ray. Then when we're talking about Alpha Centauri represents the golden ray. Atlantis is the golden ray, but Alpha Centauri is the actual physical realm that holds the golden ray. Earth can hold an emerald ray really, really well. Okay, so now we're talking about the golden ray. Alpha Centauri has 3 suns. It has, by the way, they always tell me to correct people. When we think of Centauri, they spell it like centaur, but the Centaurians always say it's sun, S-U-N, like sun Tari, okay, because it's the 3 suns. Now, those 3 suns bring out different energies within you. One is red, which of course is the root chakra. One is orange, which is our sacral chakra, and one is just brilliant yellow gold, which is the solar plexus. So they're there to not only ground you into your being, to help you understand how powerful the ray is within you. When you understand you are a golden ray being, then getting laid off from your job is going to be relief. Well, this wasn't serving my golden ray anyways. This is what I always wanted to do, right? Like it puts things into perspective. But long before I knew anything about Atlantis, starseeds, star nations, my guides would always, I used to call myself Golden Priscilla. Okay, I met a version of myself in a meditation. I think I called her Gold Priscilla, just Gold Priscilla. And they said, Priscilla, you are a queen of the golden ray. And I'd be like, I don't know what that means. Like I'd be like, okay, yeah, thanks, Archangel Raphael. It's really cool. I don't know what you're talking about. It took me all the way till maybe 2 years ago to be like, oh, I get it. But there was always something about that in my being. Okay. And like when I watched this Guardians of the Galaxy by Marvel, and they have golden skinned beings, right? They have golden hair, golden eyes, golden skin. As soon as I saw that first whatever scene with them, I said, oh, that's what I usually look like. And again, I hadn't connected to no golden ray, right? I wasn't awake to Atlantis, but when Guardians of the Galaxy came out, but I was like, that's what I'm supposed to look like. That's what I feel like. And so there's all these pieces that come to you. And so when you then harvest the golden ray of Alpha Centauri and you've learned those lessons from that realm, now you understand the unlimited nature of your being. Okay, so Atlantis then is both. It is the blue sapphire ray and it is the golden ray. So it embodies Sirius and Alpha Centauri like no one's business, because also on Alpha Centauri, Atlantis had a wonderful time. It's like, this is so easy. Let's build mass temples. Let's do this. Let's have the people all heal one another with the golden rays, with the solar energy, right? It was so easy. Atlantis on the Pleiades, not an easy time at all. Very much struggled, almost completely like it did on Earth, almost crashed and burned, but it maintained it and eventually it came out. But just say not every realm has that perfect marriage, but those two do. Now, for whatever reason, those are the codes that my soul carries. And actually, if you'll indulge me, I'm going to show you something from my closet. Okay, so I had this made because of a dream that I had, and I had no idea what it meant. Okay, so sapphire blue, gold on the inside.
Wow. That's beautiful.
Thank you. That's like my priestess cloak.
That's
And
gorgeous.
that's the way your soul shows you who you are and what you're doing. I had a dream about it, had no clue. It came to me in a picture. I was looking at something, and then all of a sudden it popped up on Pinterest. I'm like, how is this here from my dream? And then I was at a shop at a place 5 hours north of me. I was serving out of a shop, and they had one similar, but it was made out of wool. And as soon as I walked in, I stared at it, and the shop owner was like, "Is that yours?" I'm like, "Almost. It's the wrong fabric, but it's the colors." And so it's like your soul is showing you. So blue and gold happens to be my colors, and it's what I've made of. And maybe this will spark something for you once you start to understand that each archangel, that each unicorn, that each dragon, that each realm harnesses its own rays, a master of at least one ray, and you embody that ray, you start to understand more about yourself. And it'll naturally come through you. And then the more you wear it, the more you feed it, that you love it, the more you're going to soar. The more things are going to come easier to you because you're living your truth.
Mm-hmm. So true. So true. Oh, that's so beautiful. I could like feel that. And it's actually even crazier because I was sitting in the shower and I was like, before I'm like, okay, what are the things coming in for today? And I was like, okay, blue light, gold light, white light. And I was like, okay, there's emerald. It's a little bit further away. And I was like, where's the reds and the oranges? And I was like, how does that work? And you literally just answered everything. I was like, all right, all right. And I was like, obviously gold is solar plexus because I also feel the whole thing, everything
Yes.
about gold. Yes. I remember coming in as a solar flare one of my lifetimes. So I'm like, I know where I understand. It's awesome.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, very cool. Okay. Oh, okay. So then a question. Sorry. Corey is asking a question over on Facebook. This looks, I've never done this. Oh, okay. For someone who feels a lifelong connection to a particular star system before knowing anything about starseed teachings, how do you recommend exploring whether that represents a genuine soul lineage connection, an archetypal or symbolic connection, or simply a deep personal resonance? What practices help us discover our own lineage without someone else telling us who we are? That's beautiful. And you kind of talked about that actually.
Yeah, that's beautiful, Corey. And I love your curiosity already. I would say one thing I would do is I would just look at that star system or constellation and I would meditate with it. And I would ask my soul to reveal the knowledge that I am to know about it or to reveal the teachers. I agree. Like, if we're searching for everything before we do the inner work, it can get kind of warped, and then you can just fall into someone's teaching without the discernment or maybe without fully resonating. But your soul drops the hints in the same way that my soul is dropping hints about blue and gold. Okay. Like I said, Alpha Centauri was never in my field ever. But then once you have that nudge, and this is the way our spirit is you can ask for 3 signs, right? If I am supposed to study, let's move away from Orion. Let's just say, let's just go with Polaris. Okay, maybe you love the Big Dipper and Polaris. You're always like, there's Polaris, there's Polaris, there's Polaris. Then ask the universe, ask God, ask your angels to send you 3 signs within 3 days that you should pursue this as a subject. Okay.
Mhm.
And now what's really interesting in my city, okay, so I'm Atlantean. I love Atlas. The amount of times I notice Atlas in my cities, like Atlas Tire Shop, Atlas Jars, Atlas this, and I'm like, hey Atlas, what's up? I know, I know I'm in the right city, but check it out because now that I know more about stars and just am aware of more star names, how often do you see like Polaris, Andromeda, Alcyone? Why are people naming their businesses Alcyone this, Alcyone gem minerals? You're like, it's because their soul is telling them something, right? And so they've named it. Like before I owned Temples of Atlantis, my dance studio was called Dance Soul. And my tagline was feel the beat, feed your soul. And I wasn't even awake yet, but I was
Wow.
like, there's something within me about that.
Yeah.
So that's the
So
great
cool.
news is you start with the internal work. And then depending which system you're connected to, you might find an insane amount of information, right? Arcturians, Pleiadians, Syrians, those ones really, really easy to find information on. Alpha Centauri, I everything I learned about Alpha Centauri, I did the internal work. Polaris, same thing. The Hathors you can find stuff on, but then once you have all this available to you, then you again have to go back to discernment because anyone can say anything that is both a half truth and a half lie. People question me a lot. Where'd you get your information from? I want your sources. My source is source. My source is my Holy Spirit. It doesn't mean it's going to be true for you in every capacity, right? My experience in Golden Atlantis becomes the dominant frequency of my being. And that's what I live and that's what I emulate. But I was still in the fall of Atlantis, but I'm not attached to it. So therefore, I'm not bringing it forward. But, if someone were to meet me at the fall of Atlantis and be like, "I know who you are. This is not who you were when Atlantis fell. It's not what you're talking about now," right? I'd be like, "That's a different point in time." So you have to kind of keep that all together. One thing that I really love about my particular starseed journey is it came organically, and it's my favorite way to receive information is organic. So I was taking my very first day in Atlantean healing. I was studying in Texas, but the teachers were from England. And we were practicing, it was our first round of practicing giving and receiving healings with fellow students. And my very first healing, I slipped under really quickly. And, it's not a past life regression, but I had, like, a massive vision, and the vision was I was on what I would call a spaceship, but not now I wouldn't think it was a galactic spaceship, maybe like an airship, but anyways, it kinda looked like old school Star Trek, okay? There was, like, lots of flashing buttons, that's the way my consciousness wanted me to see it, and I was literally like, "Am I on this spaceship? What is this?" And once I had the thought, there was 2 beings in swivel chairs. And as soon as I had that thought, they swiveled around to me and they said, "Priscilla, you know what time it is?" And I said, "Time to read We the Arcturians?" And they're like, "Yes." And they snapped their fingers and I woke up. I never heard about the Arcturians ever before that. Just so happens there is a book called We the Arcturians. It's not a fun book. It's pretty boring now because it's written in the 80s. But when I got home from that training, I immediately went to my local metaphysical store and I bought all 3 books on, Arcturus. I read them, I got home in June. I read them throughout the summer of 2018, and by September of 2018, when I was teaching my very first Usui Reiki class, I was already teaching it as a connection to the Arcturians and their healing because of the books I read. And so that initial download sparked open a whole field for me of joy because as a child of Star Trek and Star Wars, I always believed there was something more.
Mhm.
I'm much more fascinated by galactic scenery, by different realms. Like my husband now I'm watching old school Star Trek. My husband, I've never watched it before the original series. He's like, "I can't believe you're watching this." I'm like, "But they're on Vulcan, and it looks so cool." Because it's different than Earth. I like different rocks. I love different
Yes.
skyscapes, and
Yeah.
so your soul has again my soul has been telling me all along, Priscilla, there is more to Earth than what they tell us. So you follow the breadcrumbs and then watch what comes into your field. And in my case, it went from the Arcturians to the Sirians to the Pleiadians to the Orions to the Alpha Centaurians. And then I did do research after that. Like, I did, like, be like, "Well, what else is out there?" Let me see,
Mhm.
let me see. Let me teach a class on it. Let's see how I feel with these energies that flow through me. Um,
Mhm.
it's fascinating. I did last year, I did a class on Maldek. For those of you that might be aware of certain lore, Maldek seems to be the realm that once existed between, Mars and Jupiter, Earth and Mars. I'm a little bit off right now. I would say Mars and Jupiter, but was destroyed because of getting lost. The fall of Atlantis times a million, total realm destruction. What's interesting is when I'm watching Star Trek, the new Star Trek right now, they go on to the theory of how that asteroid belt comes around, but they don't talk about Maldek or that name. But I'm like, oh, there they are, tiptoeing, showing us, but not the full picture. So still, even when I say I have a very expanded consciousness when it comes to different things, discernment, right? Discernment, like what are they trying to program with? What's the bread of truth they're giving us, the little crumbs? But then what are they trying to sell you as the loaf, right? It doesn't always match up, but have a lot of fun with your exploration. Anyone that's tuning in, because it's really joyous. There's so much beauty, and I'm happy when we get there to recommend some of my favorite more Starseed books that I think could help people.
Yes, please. We started building out the page. There's an onboarding page for Welcome to Earth for your remembering. We're putting together right now. It'll be live probably this afternoon, but we've got some resources where you can just kind of dive in and explore. And the more people that we have collaborating, the more information we could put together into our library. And that's kind of where I hope that these conversations continue to go, that all of us are able to tell our stories. And it's so funny too, because people are, we look at history and time so like two-dimensionally, like on a book, on a paper, and it's like a perspective. And like, yeah, maybe you guys had a perspective here and a perspective there, but like, and in some consciousnesses, I'm still on this planet enjoying my life, doing what I do here. And then in another consciousness, I'm a prisoner of war still, and I can tap in pretty,
right.
You can kind of see all these different like angles, and it can be alarming and interesting, but it's also like curiosity is the word that we encourage the most, because the word curiosity means like coming in like from a softer space, not like the seek and destruct and tear things apart. When the fall of Atlantis, you don't need to seek knowledge outside and push for it. It's just in here. You just have to ask. There's some things that we've laughed with the Draconians, and kind of how they originally come through kind of forceful and manipulating the energy and be like, this is mine, I'll take this, blah, blah, blah. And over here you're like, well, but on the 12th dimensional energy, you don't have to do that much work. You just kind of become present with the energy and then work with it, and it's a lot less of what you're doing right now. And so my partner's like started to like laugh about it. He's like, wow, this is so much easier. And I'm like, I know. All you have to do is ask.
Agreed.
That's awesome. Beautiful. And then, yeah, what would be your favorite book for people kind of starting on their journey in this? If you had to.
I'll start with Atlantis first, because I said Atlantis is a really good hub, and it's going to help you even understand its reach on Earth. Okay, so a different misconception about Atlantis would be that people think it's just one island nation in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. Like Lemuria, Atlantis spans the world. So yes, it comes from that island in the Atlantic Ocean, right off the coast of like Portugal, but then it expands everywhere. So these, let me see. I keep them together often. I have a very full Atlantean library, but let's just start with the basics, okay? So number one, this Atlantis by Shirley Andrews. She also has Atlantis and Lemuria by Shirley Andrews. If you don't know anything about Lemuria, that book's also amazing. But this is going to give you a fuller scope of the energy, the psychology, and some of the ceremony and the way that Atlanteans actually lived. Okay, so, but then you have to go back, and this is what I say about female and male authors on Atlantis. The male authors are very logical. Like they play to their gender roles perfectly. Okay. The male authors are very like, here's the date, here's the fact, here's a rock structure, here's the sedimentary deposits, here's this, right? Like, and it's great because it gives you that foundation of, oh, this is real. The female perspective is going to be very esoteric. This is what I channeled. This is what I saw. This is what other people have dreamt about. And so they put that together. That's why it's such a perfect blend. But the daddy, the grandfather of Atlantean literature outside of Plato, is Ignatius Donnelly. So this is Atlantis, the antediluvian world. I love books written on Atlantis that come before 1950. I have a few in my library that are from the late 1800s. I love those because, believe it or not, they're less censored. There's less censored material as there is now. So that one is really good for understanding that, oh, when you're on my page and Priscilla's like, why does she think Zeus is an Atlantean? Why does she talk about Athena as a high priestess? I did all that before I read this book. And this book talks about how Greek mythology is really Atlantean history. And once you understand that all mythologies pretty much are connected, okay, like let's say a good 70% of the world's mythologies are actually talking about Atlantis, and maybe the other 30% could be talking about Lemuria. I won't make any claims there. Then you start to understand what's really happening. The other book, Survivors of Atlantis by Frank Joseph. Frank Joseph is a master on Atlantis. This is going to help you understand how Atlantis is in Egypt, in Great Sumer, in Turkey, in Greece, in Avalon, in the Mayas, in the Yucatan, in the Incas. It all goes back to here. So this is what I love about my personal practice is my consciousness was already telling me these things. And then it brings me the book that verifies to me, not because I was looking for it, just like, Priscilla, this is what book you have to read next. I'm like, okay. And then I'm reading it. And I'm like, no way. Right. And I'm like, I got to underline stuff as I'm going through, and I got to like dog ear this stuff because I know, I know that at some point I'm going to be writing a book, many books on Atlantis, but I always want to pay homage to those that came before me. Okay. So that's just the Atlantean span. Now from there, some of my very, very favorite books. There's two on Arcturus I would definitely recommend. Let's see my list. This, the Arcturian anthology. This is by Tom Kenyon and Judy Sion. He also has a wonderful book on the Hathors and the technology of healing with the Hathors. But this book, this is the book that spurred me to believe that Master Usui from Usui Reiki is most likely an Arcturian, and that he was in cahoots with Sanat Kumara to bring back Reiki knowledge. He doesn't talk about it specifically, but that's what my consciousness picked up. Now, he also talks about Yeshua and Mary Magdalene and their times as Arcturian beings or teachers. And so when I was reading this, it just helped me think about like, oh, ascended masters on earth are not just ascended masters of earth. They're also ascended masters of other realms. They are master teachers wherever they go. So that's a wonderful book. The cool thing about any literature you read on Arcturus is that it doesn't matter what author it is. I have 4 different authors. I guess I can't speak to all of them, but out of the 4 different authors I've read, they all channel one guy named Giuliano, and they all talk about the starship Athena. And like, that's the direct downloads they're all getting. Now, the other one I love is Connecting with the Arcturians by David K. Miller. He does have a series. I've read up to book number 3. I haven't found the same quality and substance as I did in this one. This one I absolutely love. There's concepts in here that actually help me create Cosmic Conscious Reiki. There's so much goodness in here. I've read it many times over, and I would always, always, always recommend this book. Okay, so those ones on Arcturus would be fantastic. The Pleiades, really unlimited, right? You're going to have a hard time finding things on the 7 sisters, which is too bad. Don't worry, I'm writing a book on it when you're ready. But let's see, pick my 3 favorites again. This one, okay. So for the Pleiades, the 7 sisters, so far my favorite resource is just this deck, Star Temple Oracle by Susie Cherub. Because most of the time when you're reading about the Pleiades, you're going to read about them as a collective, but people are really interested in the 7 sisters. There's not a lot of material outside of Greek mythology or people just quoting other cultural mythologies about the 7 sisters. I teach about them extensively in many of my courses because they have asked me to, because they are wonderful beings. But for me, an oracle deck is always based on the strength of the imagery, then combined with the strength of what they've written. So let's just pull two cards. One for you, Julie. Okay, one for you, for everyone that's listening. So what is the message?
His partner Charlene is saying hi. She says she always looks up to the Seven Sisters, and she posted that like 20 minutes ago.
Okay. So for you, Julie, this is, you have Electra, the lost star. This is a season of rebirth. Out of darkness, you come into the light.
I'll take it.
Matches your coloring. You're very golden today, so it matches your coloring. Very nice. Okay, for those listening now and on the replay, our general message for you. And like I said, to me, it has to have good artwork. Otherwise, I would never buy it. I would never keep it. Okay, I thought it was going to be Maya, but we got Merope. So now that was the lost star. We have the fallen star. Shame. I no longer hide my face. I step into my light with love. So Merope, I teach about that she governs the sacral and navel chakras. Electra for me is the heart and higher heart chakras. But for this as a collective, wherever you have felt small, wherever you have thought I'm not good enough, wherever it's like I can't use my voice, people will think I'm crazy. I don't know. Is my child a starseed? I don't know if I can look those things up. How are people ostracizing me? Should I be doing yoga? Should I be meditating? People say that, right? The truth is always within you. And once you heal whatever that inner shame is and understand you are enough, you are built perfectly, that God, source, creator loves you exactly as you are, then you can you come out with your full regalia. It's step into your light with love. I read a passage from an angel book that I love when I'm going to sleep at night. And last night's message was that no matter what, God loves you. You're like, oh, what a great thing to go to sleep by. So that's one resource. Another is Bringers of the Dawn, Teachings from the Pleiades. I rebought this book because I had lent it to someone and it left my library. And I rebought it in 2022. So I read it in 2018. I reread it in 2022. I couldn't believe how much more awakened I was with the second time I read it. So this has also to do with mass manipulation by the media, different pandemics, different things that they do to us. And the Pleiadians are telling us, don't fall for it. You have to know what's in here. Otherwise, you're going to fall for all of it. It's very interesting. It gives you, sometimes people think the Pleiadians just have light and love. Oh, they're so kind. They're so gentle. They got that way because they had to overcome mass conflict. They have to overcome the inner human, the inner Orion to get to where they are. So they're not pushovers. They're very knowledgeable and they lead through love, but by no means are they gullible. They're very, very strong beings. Now, the Pleiadian workbook by Amora Kuan Yin is also some teachings that I based my Cosmic Conscious Reiki, my Pleiadian unit on. This is incredible for grounding. Okay, so I was reading this in 2022. As I was reading it, she was talking about people that have a hard time manifesting, that are really etheric, and they love the cosmos and they love all this, but they're not actually living fully grounded in their earth life. And I was like, is she talking about me? I'm like, what's going on here? And so reading through it, I realized that I too was romanticizing and fantasizing a little bit too much about other parts of my soul. In using these grounding techniques and understanding my auric field and learning different ways, because there's lots of ways to balance your chakras, but using more tools that were, more applicable to me is really amazing. Now, there's some advanced work in the back about dolphin brain repatterning, which gets really interesting. But this body of work is incredible. And she also talks about, there's some parts of Atlantis and Lemuria in there. She talks about Ra. There's messages from Ra. It's a really, really good book. And then the other book I want to show you, and I'm being picky here because I love a lot of books, but
me too.
The other one, not necessarily about starseeds, but it does involve work of the Syrians and Tot and Ra. So nothing in this book is true, but it's exactly how things are, by Bob Frizzle. I bought this in a small little cute town in British Columbia, a little bookstore. It was a cute bookstore. And I went in there. I said, "Do you have anything on Atlantis or aliens?" And he's like, "What?" He's like, "No, he's like, we don't carry stuff like that in this store." And I'm like, "Okay." So I just like go to look around, and this book it's not like this. It's like this. Hello, we have a pyramid that is very Atlantean. Oh, and we got spaceships here. There's my UFOs. So, and indeed, you do have a book on Atlantis and aliens, and it's fantastic. It's fantastic because it shows you a lot more, another perspective on the history of Earth. It talks about how I never heard before how the Syrians actually saved our planet in around 1978 and how they were kind of had to face karma because of it. You don't have to believe it all, right? You can just take it with a grain of salt, but it's really fantastic. And I would say in your studies, don't limit yourself to one publishing house or one author. Really read a lot if you want to, and then pare it back, right? Let your mind expand and be like, wow, there's so much out there, but I don't need to know all of it right now. Whoop.
Mhm.
I really love the Arcturians right now. The Arcturians, I think I should study sacred geometry with them. I think I could learn more about the silver ray from them. I think they have a good understanding of crystals I could learn to work with. I'm just going to focus on the Arcturians for this part in my path. And then when I get the nudge from spirit that I need to work on another part of myself, I'm going to work on with the Lyrans, right? Or the Draconians. Like there's whoever it is, but don't get wrapped up in having to think you have to know the every and the all, because
Mhm.
everything fits into a certain part of your life, just like certain crystals do, just like certain guides do. And then sometimes it naturally fades out because you're evolving, changing. You've healed that part, and now you're open for something different. The thing I recognize in my library is that very bottom row, right there. Those are all
Mhm.
journals. So for me, journaling it's not dear diary. This is how I feel
Mhm.
today. It's like, this is what I dreamt of. This is what occurred in my meditations. This is what I observed within myself. By keeping a journal of myself, and this, I've always kept a journal since I was like 8, which probably was a dear diary when I was 8. But as I progress in my spiritual path, when you read them back, and I'm going back right now, I'm reading back from 2022 and on, and I'm documenting them through the computer. But you get to see where you doubted yourself before and how things came to be now. Because right now you're already living a life that you were trying to manifest 5 and 10 years ago, right? And then you forgot. You forgot because it
Mhm.
just became new normal. I always remind myself that little Priscilla would have died to know that I have a dog and a cat that live with me, because that's all she wanted, right? I lived on a farm, so we had lots of outdoor animals, but no animals were allowed in my house. I'm already living the dream of little Priscilla, and I'm talking about ancient civilizations because she loved Greece and Egypt, and I'm teaching about aliens, and she loves Star Trek. So,
Ugh,
like, do you know what I mean? Like, that's already more than what most people could ever hope to accomplish, and yet I
yeah.
am, and if I don't appreciate where I am, and I'm like, for example, I would love a more spacious house, but I don't appreciate that I have a house, that I'm here right now, and I get to my own office with all my books together, you know?
Yeah.
I'm blessed, and so are
Yeah.
you. Listening,
Yeah.
so are you. So, you just get to bring it all together.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. I love that. Before we kind of taper off, is there any other common misconceptions that you would like to clear up at this time? Being that we are in the age of disclosure and things are funky, and if you're probably listening to this, you probably know not to believe the government.
That's a statement. My biggest thing about the government be whatever they're telling you, look at the exact opposite thing. Whatever they're
Mhm.
trying to corral you into, whatever thinking, whatever division, whatever fear, even when they're like, we're disclosing. Why are you disclosing? Who
Yeah.
are you disclosing? Which ones are you saying, and what information are you giving us about them? That's the
Yeah.
biggest misconception, because to me, the truth is we don't need a government, we govern ourselves. Do we like leaders? Absolutely. Did Atlantis and Lemuria have great, powerful, beautiful elders? Yes, based on their wisdom. But there's always going to be new propaganda and the new program set for you. All of them have the exact same agenda: to destroy your connection with Creator, to destroy the connection with yourself and make you a slave to resources, right? That's the whole thing. Can they control your mind, your soul, your body? Can they entrap you? So the greatest, most rebellious thing you can do is love yourself and love God and follow the path as you were meant to. And I'm not impervious to falling for agendas. Um, some I see very, very clearly, like miles away, and I laugh because I'm like, this is so obvious.
Yes.
But some infiltrate me and slowly start to take away hope or expansion that I've been working on. And so you have to
Mhm.
be aware of it. And in all ways, it's not like I don't mistrust everyone to start with, but I no longer see a big account and think, "Oh my god, they must know what they're talking about."
Yeah.
Um, discernment, discernment, discernment. And it's okay to not agree, and it's okay to follow someone and like half of their teachings, but not the other half of their teachings. We don't have to be all in. In my case, I also teach a ton about archangels. The backlash on Archangel Michael and Metatron is astounding to me.
Okay.
I get the same type of people. How dare you work with Archangel Metatron? You're obviously working for the dark forces. Da, 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 da. Why? Because somebody
Mhm.
channeled a whole little section on Archangel Metatron about how he's inverted and he's this and he's that. And all I can say to all the people with anything, if it's true for you, follow your guidance. But
Mhm.
that's not true for me. And I've had to learn
Yeah.
that a lot. That's not true for me. So I will continue to work with the archangels as long as it makes sense to me. So
Yeah.
discernment, 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 but also once you really learn to trust and listen to the voice of your spirit, it's probably one of the most beautiful things you will experience in a day-to-day living, and you will be inspired every day by the beauty of your light, knowing you are from and of God, and nobody can take it from you unless you allow them to. So, wear it. Wear it like a badge of protection, and right now there's a lot of spiritual wars happening on our realm, and they want you to denounce your connection to Creator. Never. Never, 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 never. Never surrender. Never give up that part of yourself. So, yeah, be careful. Be careful, but know yourself, know thyself, and watch the beauty that comes from it. I've you know,
Mhm.
I think Julie is probably the same way. I've managed to create a life based on my soul's whisperings, um, because I listened and I followed through.
Yep.
It wasn't just like it was handed to me. I had to take each step as it comes.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Oh, amazing. Beautiful. Well, that's most of what I have for today. And I hope that we can have more conversations because I feel like we're still just like grazing surfaces of
Mm.
things, but at least this part can help people kind of while we're in these big transitions, eclipse season, disclosure, everything else going on. Um, the information you need is within you. And there's a lot of really cool, interesting resources and people who want to talk about this stuff. So you're not alone and you don't have to feel weird, though we often all have at some point.
Yep.
But thank you so much, Priscilla, and for everything that you do and the grounded perspectives that you bring in your teachings. And I'm
Thank you.
really grateful. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this connection, and deep love to whoever is listening. And we're doing it, and we can do it, and we're going to continue to do it. It's wonderful. Blessings.